Hello, my name's James. I said I wanted to do, in my previous video, which was who knows how long ago now, I wanted to do something for the season. Well, I said I was inspired to do something. I'm going to do a little hint. I want to do a little spooky season video for music recs and stuff. But first, since I kind of let that go so long and I've gotten some new stuff in, I want to do a quick little, collection update for, basically this, partly the latter half of quarter two and part of quarter three. These are just my highlights. There's the new stuff and the old stuff. Let's just hop in. First, I want to talk about the new releases. The new releases are more important right now. I have 5 things I want to talk about. All of them, none of them are surprising to my taste. Very little, I want to say, variety in this stack. It's all gothic metal or stuff that is tangentially related to gothic metal. And you know what? That's what I'm here to do. That's what I'm here to talk about. And the cat is losing her mind on the bed. Anyways, first, let's start with Paradise Lost Ascension. I don't even remember when this came out. I think it was September. Who knows? Couldn't tell you. I am not the biggest Paradise Lost fan, especially of their earlier, more iconic, influential stuff, the Death Doom days, the Peaceful 3 days. Not the biggest fan of that stuff. I listened to it out of obligation, and I did start kind of buying it up a little bit, but very slowly. It's not my, it's not my thing. That being said, this modern era for the band, I really enjoy. I remember hearing their last album, not the re-recording of Icon. I mean, the last album. I think it came out in 2021. I remember listening to that and thinking it was really good. I never bought it, but I remember liking it. But this guy is really, really good. It's they still get classified as a Death Doom band. Let's just pull out the booklet here. They get called a Death Doom band still, and I really don't agree with that assessment. It's definitely much more of a Gothic Doom metal band at this point. Just, I don't know, just really good melodies, really good atmosphere. It feels modern and fresh, but also it doesn't fall into a lot of the pitfalls I have with modern production. I don't know. It's just a really well done album. I really like Nick Holmes' performance on it. That being said, Nuclear Blast, no more digi sleeves, please. Let's get a digipack, a really stocky, sturdy plastic tray digipack for these special editions. S'il vous plaît. Moving on, this is an American band. I know a lot of the stuff that I tend to talk about does not come from the States. This is Beyond Forgiveness. They are a symphonic, gothic, Beauty and the Beast style project out of Colorado. I didn't realize that I knew any of the members from other projects in the past, but Talia Holt, who is the female vocalist and the keyboardist and orchestrator, I believe. She used to be in this alternative rock gothic metal crossover band from the 2000s called Anna Dies. They're also from the Colorado Springs area, maybe. I could be wrong. Their stuff was a bit more Evanescence-y meets post-grunge, and then later they had a little bit more bombast, in orchestration to their sound. But I did like that band. They were definitely, I enjoyed them, but they were never an incredible... Kitty, what's up? Oh, she has the zoomies. Okay, she's playing. But yeah, this is their 3rd album, or 4th album, I believe. 4th. Cold as Winter's Ice. It's a bit long. It's it's 12 tracks. It's about an hour, and it feels like a throwback to early mid-2000s Beauty and the Beast style gothic metal. Think Mandrake, or even some kind of periods of Macbeth's middle career. It's well constructed, really well orchestrated, bombastic. It doesn't feel cheap at all. That being said, my one complaint about the physical release of this is that the booklet is actually slightly too big to fit in here, so that's why I'm not pulling it out. I kind of just forced it in there, and I will probably never take it out of the CD case ever again. Moving on, out on Season of Mist is Nightfall's most recent album. This is a Greek black metal band, melodic black metal, and they have played around with some gothic-y stuff in the past. And I don't even know, this is like their 12th album or whatever. This is Children of Eve, released in May. I completely missed it when May came around for some reason. And I actually really dug this. It's mostly a black metal record, a very like modern melodic black metal record. Feels very Greek. It definitely has some of that, like, it definitely is like cut from the same cloth as, say, Rotting Christ's kind of modern stuff. But these guys are more invested in writing like actual songs and less like artistic, atmospheric, like theatrical like pieces, you know? Like these feel like really well just kind of like structured, written, beginning, middle, end songs. Very catchy, incredibly catchy. I really like the vocalist's meter. Oh, that's them. I just really, really enjoyed this album. Another that actually I think released the same day as the Nightfall album is Crematory's newest album, Destination. Crematory are a German band. They got their start in the early 90s playing like an atmospheric gothic-y style of death metal. And I think they slowly incorporated more of that gothic element and started dropping that death element. And then sometime in the late 90s and early 2000s, they kind of transferred over into that like industrial gothic Neue Deutsch Hut. Did I say that right? The New German Hardness arena. And they kind of stayed there. So I guess I would call this like industrial gothic metal. You know what? Fuck it. I don't care. I'm just gonna let it. We're just gonna keep going. This, I first heard it while I was walking to work. I take the train, I take the BART into the East Bay, and then I have to walk 2 miles from the train station to work. And I was listening to it for the first time while on my walk, and I was really, I like to walk kind of fast. I was enjoying the vibe, this like really steady kind of like, just the energy in it is great. Really like EBM, almost like keyboards and programming. And I don't know, I was just like really digging that energy. And then I bought a copy of it and I listened to it, and that energy is still there, but I didn't get that same enjoyment out of it. I think it's a little bit samey throughout. It's not bad in construction at all. I still enjoy it, but it is definitely not as good as I was hoping I was gonna think it was actually when I purchased a copy of it. My listening habits for new stuff have kind of slowed down, just because I haven't really been paying attention to it as much. But I've been correcting it today while I've been doing laundry and dishes and stuff and avoid going outside. I've been listening to new stuff and catching up, and I've really been enjoying it so far. I have no major complaints. I've had some. I've heard some stuff that I just thought was kind of bland and okay and just not my style, like the new Acacia strain. I was listening to that earlier. Didn't care for it. And with all the tariff stuff, so listening habits have been slowing down, and my purchasing habits have been slowing down a lot, partially because I wasn't working for a month because I needed that, that mental health break. But because of the tariffs and stuff, so since so much of the music I listen to and all the new stuff that I listen to tends to be from Europe, and no one really wants to ship to the US still, I kind of just haven't been purchasing anything. So like my log of what I've enjoyed has kind of stagnated because of the goings on in the world, which is a very petty thing to complain about when there's like actual fascism happening in this country. But you know what? We're going to move on to the next CD, because if I keep going, I will get angry, and this will be fun for nobody. Last of my new releases that I got this year so far, or in this time period, is Cold Flare Eternal by Before the Dawn. This is their newest album. I think this is like also their 12th or something. They are a Finnish band, I believe. Right? Founded by, who actually is it? I think it's Juho Raiha. Is that who's, or is it Tuomas? I forget. One of these members is just starts a shit ton of projects in the Finnish metal scene and just kind of like does a thing over there and like maybe quits it for a bit and comes back to it. He basically disbanded a lot of his projects in the early 2010s, and then a few of them he's kind of revived in recent years, and this is one of them. So this is like a melodic death metalcore band meets gothic atmospheric symphonic strings. In general, I have had really mixed feelings about this band. This album, from what I've heard of them, is not their best, but I did still enjoy it. I think this is actually the first one of theirs I purchased, so it's a good entry-level point. It's kind of like a easily digestible kind of nugget. It's not very long. The songs they're of like a similar quality all the way through up until like the last few, in which case they like all kind of get better. Yeah, nothing stellar, but really enjoyable, catchy, riffy, and I don't know. This one feels more like a melodic death metal band album than anything else, really. And I think I was hoping for more of that blending of styles that I know that they've done in previous albums. But yeah, not terrible. Not amazing either, but I still enjoyed it enough to get myself a copy of it. In general, I think 2025 is shaping up to be a pretty substantial year for Gothic metal. I will probably, I don't know, I don't think I'm gonna make a video rehashing it all, but maybe I'll make a post on Reddit at the end of the year on the Gothic metal subreddit. But like it's been a really good year for Gothic metal in terms of volume of releases, and in those releases, like quality of releases. So yeah, moving on, I want to talk about the other stuff that are not new releases. I'm going to start with something that is going to surprise no one and is actually a more recent acquisition, and I should hold on to it for some other video, but it kind of fits in what I want to highlight today. So Inner Shrine's second album, Fallen Beauty. Inner Shrine is an Italian Gothic metal band. They were formed in the mid-90s and debuted in the late 90s. They were contemporary to bands like Tristania, like Within Temptation, your Night Wishes, your Myriads, that kind of stuff. Like Lacuna Coil debuted their EP the same year as their debut. Is called I Own It. It's like Nocturnal Rhymes of the Rituals something. It has a really long title. It's not my favorite thing. I think this sophomore is slightly better, but I have a thing about this band. So this band has kind of, in terms of the Gothic metal fandom, at least as I've been part of it, kind of seems to have fallen into obscurity. Part of it is that they are fully like independent, I think, these days, and they're very slow to release records, and they tend to be limited quantities. But I do find that funny, because if you find these old interviews with other bands, like especially other Italian bands at the, around the same time, like I read this interview with Macbeth from 1998, and they said like, oh yeah, the kings of Gothic metal in Italy, Italian Gothic metal, are still Inner Shrine. And I just find that so jarring. It's just like, where has this band gone? They have been active pretty consistently. Like, they're really slow to release albums. They're, their releases are sparse. But like, no one ever talks about them. They never get brought up. And I think it's just that at the time, like in 1998, a lot of Italian Gothic metal bands did debut, and Inner Shrine was just the first one. I think they hit in January of that year, and they had that time and momentum. By the time like Lacuna Coil debuted in November or something, it had been a whole year. Inner Shrine is not that good for Gothic metal. Like, they cannot compete with their contemporaries. I'm sorry, not that good. That being said, though, Fallen Beauty is an enjoyable album, but I think it definitely highlights some of like their weaknesses. I love the Spanish guitar. It feels very Iberian despite them being Italian. It feels very Latin, very romantic. It's just that like multiple songs in a row will start with this like clean guitar intro that goes on for like a little too long, and then we'll like hit and just go blazing, and like the song just kind of like stays in that space. Like, there's not that many musical ideas to build on. It just kind of like goes for 3 minutes in this like blistering, like maybe they do a few change ups and there's a few like vocal interchanges or whatever, and then just kind of ends, and that's the song. And then they like do that a bunch of times in a row. Like, it is a great atmosphere for Gothic metal. It definitely does the tropes, the spoken, the whisper speaking and the operatic vocals, but it just kind of feels like a collection of tropes. But like, it's an interesting thing to have in my collection. Like, I don't regret buying this. It was pretty cheap, but like, I understand now why this band might have fallen off in a way that is a shame. I think a lot of people would like this. It's just, there's so much better out there. Anyways, moving on. During my little 4-week long break that I took from work, I did a little trip up to Eureka to visit my old local Hans and visit from some friends from my college years. And I visited some CD shops. Some of them had been there since I was a student, and one of them was new. And one of the, in Arcata, there's this record shop, and I got these two from there. That is Scream Bloody Gore by Death. This is a 2016, I believe, or 2011 reprint with the 2 discs. This is actually one of the uglier Relapse represses I've ever seen. I think the other Death represses that I have are much nicer than this. And I really dig this. I'm not a huge death metal person. I'm not even a huge Death person, but there's something very catchy about this. I just kind of like listened to it on a whim. And when I found it on CD that same week, I was just like, you're coming home with me. There's not much to say about it. So far, it is my favorite Death album, probably because it's just kind of like their simplest. It's like when people say like knuckle dragging death metal, I'm imagining this, and it's just kind of like, it's heavy, it's aggressive, it sounds really good, and it's just catchy. And that's my big thing about death metal, is like so much of it is just not catchy. And while I was in that same record store up in Arcata, I got a copy of The Scream by Susie and the Banshees, and this is their first album from 1978, I believe. Actually, it says November 1978. Just good post-punk. It definitely feels darker than a lot of the Susie stuff that would come later, like even the goth stuff. I feel like their gothier stuff and their alternative rock stuff just isn't as dark. I really enjoy how just kind of like cold and unfeeling and catchy this is. I was reading the Wikipedia article on this album, and they were saying critics at the time highlighted the drumming as being very industrial sounding, like very precise and cold and unfeeling and like inhuman, which I think, considering how music has changed in like the last 40 however many years, I think it's just kind of a little comical coming from 2025's perspective, when you can have fully like programmed beats that are very glitchy and clicky, and I feel like having an actual drum kit and have it sound like toms kind of distracts, like deducts from your like industrial vibe to some extent. But yeah, no, it is a really good record, and I didn't think I was gonna like this as much, just because I don't tend to like post-punk that much, but I really enjoyed this. Moving on, this is gonna be a random little thing. This is Sleep Well My Angel, a little promotional single by the band We Are the Fallen, who were an American symphonic alternative gothic rock metal blend. They're a spin-off of Evanescence. Basically, this band's the marketing thing was like, it's a singer from American Idol and 3 previous members of Evanescence and another guy. And I really enjoyed their one and only album that was released in 2010, the Tear Down the World, I think this was called. And I saw this outside in the discount bins on this one CD shop in Eureka, and I was like, I now need to go into the store and try to find an album to purchase so I can justify getting this for $1. It was $1. I think. I don't need this. Like, this isn't even the single version of the song. This is the normal studio version. It's just a random little knickknack, and I like this band, so I was like, of course I have to get it. Yeah, this is just a piano like ballad. This is nothing special. No B-sides on this. It's just for radio. This was released to radio. But yeah, so I went into that store, and my last thing I want to highlight from my little trip to Eureka is another Susie album, Superstition. Released in 1991. And this is a lot lighter than anything that I've purchased from Susie and the Banshees before. It's just a little, I don't know, like I enjoyed it. They're fun songs. It feels a little alt pop, a little dreamy, a little experimental. But I kind of wish it did have a little bit more heft and a little bit more darkness to it. Also, the production can we talk about the production? It's so thin. The production on this is so thin. I think this album could definitely benefit from being like remixed and remastered. Just like bring all that instrumental track a little bit forward. And the vocals don't need to be that prominent. I think if it was remixed and remastered, I think you could get a really healthy, like warm sound out of it. I did enjoy this album, to be clear. I did enjoy it. Especially, what song did I get? Cry was really good. And I really remember liking, was it Shadow Time? I think Shadow Time. I need to re-listen to this. Just because, like, I'm not the hugest Susie fan. Like, I like some of her stuff. But, so I'm not as familiar with her as, you know, a lot of stuff that, a lot of the other non-metal stuff that I tend to buy and have in my collection. Anyways, so that's my highlights from my little Eureka trip. And the last stack I want to do is, again, nothing surprising, exactly right up my alley. Wolfheart by Moonspell, a band that I never liked until very recently. And yes, I did intentionally get the Bad Wolf t-shirt cover because I liked it more than the other one, what I think is ugly, with the two wolves just kind of like fighting. This somehow feels less cheesy to me. Anyways, let's look at this 1995 Century Media design. Love this album. This is probably what I would consider my favorite Moonspell album, and even then I'm still not the most acquainted with their discography. I have like 4 of their albums now, and I will say this is probably my favorite. It has that, it's like very earthy mid-90s production, which I really appreciate. It feels like an extreme metal album. And to some extent it is. I still claim that technically Gothic metal is a subgenre of extreme metal, depending on what stage of the genre you're talking about. There's a lot of nuance in there. There's always a ton of nuance with this shit, especially if you know it as much as I do. But yeah, has a little melodic black metal vibe to it at times, and some like folky little melodies here, which I really appreciate, and I think it does nothing but elevate the listening experience. So yeah, not my favorite band. I understand why people like them, but this is a killer record, and I will probably be listening to it more in the near future. And the last 3 things I want to talk about came in one little purchase, one haul, all from the same vendor. I have Elegant and Dying by Virgin Black, Oligarchy by Lycanthia, and Within the Walls by Lycanthia. Both of these bands are Australian. They're Australian Gothic doom metal. Virgin Black is probably the more successful of them. They are kind of Christian-y, you know how like there's that wave of like Christian like death doom bands and black metal bands that tend to still get, you know, an audience and fans that listen to the more traditional versions of those genres. This is one of them. This is like the Christian Paradise Lost, maybe, like you know, or My Dying Bride, but very different, very operatic in scope. This album is dour and joyless, and it feels just really slow and big. I was always slightly intimidated by this band, only because of the length and the slowness of their stuff. But if you have the patience for it and you sit through it, I think there is a lot of good stuff to have in here. It's just, again, it's not the most happening for like 8 minutes at a time, but I think it definitely has a great vibe. Again, dark, dour, joyless. Look at that. Hard to believe that this would be a Christian band, but maybe that's, you know, maybe that's what makes them so good, right? Anyways, let's talk about Lycanthia. Lycanthia is a bit more conventional, I guess. It feels kind of like you're reviving that early Paradise Lost, early My Dying Bride sound with like the solo violin and the really like just earthy guitar tone. Just kind of, it is good gothic-y death doom. It has those gothic flourishes, the operatic aspects that you would see in bands, other bands like Lycanthia. They're from the 90s. This is from 2012 and this is from 2006, but they are from the 90s. Their debut was in the 90s. And they definitely have that quality. So like think Myriads, as I've mentioned in this video, I believe already. or Tristania, Draconian, that kind of vibe. Ashes You Leave, where it's the really just ugly guitar tone kind that comes in, and then there's like lots of quiet and just focusing on like the drums and the piano and some strings, and then everything comes back in and it's harsh vocals and cleans, and it's just beautifully mixed. I definitely need to give these more time, but I remember Oligarchy coming out in 2012 and thinking, damn, this is like, at least, you know, for my scope, because there's like a lot of really highly praised stuff coming out of Australia, and then some other like obscure things that had just blown up in like Indonesia and Germany, and it was just, it kind of felt like, oh yeah, we're coming into some like new era of like quality extreme metal. And like, maybe we have, that's a few years later I stopped paying attention to new music, but that's what I remember what this album made me think at the time. Maybe you can laugh at me, maybe I was totally off the mark, but that's just what I got the vibe from, because it was like this, and like Bellacore was coming out at the same time and gotten big, and then there was also that Valen Dusk band, I think is what they were called, from like Asia, and like there was one more, of course, Navel of Iscaris was coming out at the time, and there was, oh, another big one, like Black Crown something, Initiate, was getting big. It just kind of felt like, you know, this like proggy, like this new wave of like proggy extreme metal, atmospheric, technical stuff was just gonna like blow up, and everyone's gonna be into it. And then I don't know, I can't tell if that's accurate. Anyways, that's enough of that. That's all I have to show today. And I wanted this to be quick, and yet somehow it was not. And I will probably record another video tomorrow that is more aligned to what I wanted to talk about for spooky season specifically. That's a hint. And I don't know. I don't plan for the future. All right, you have a good one. Bye.